So there was a tweet that was put out March 16th. I don't know if this account was the original one that made it, because it is a meme account about D&D memes called Memes Lich. Yeah, Memes Lich. Anyways, they put out a post that got 22 million views, 20,000 likes. It was a pretty good picture. It's a pretty good picture. I think this art is really nicely done. It looks pretty sweet, and the text reads, accepting the existence of magic in a fantasy setting should not be easier than accepting the existence of disabled people in a fantasy setting, which I personally agree with. It's harder for me to wrap my head around magic than it is to wrap my head around people people having disabilities, because like they exist. They're people. And well, there was one account that quoted this this tweet here that got they got dragged a bit. They got a little more traction. This stateless sovereign account put out, it literally makes no sense to have disabled people in a fantasy setting. It makes no sense to have magic, dude. Okay, number one, why can't disabled person cast a spell on their broken legs that fixes them instantly so they can walk again? What if their legs don't work because of a magical curse or hex or something, and they don't have the skill or know anybody that can fix it? It's magic. It can be whatever. Number two, if the mage's lower body is paralyzed rather than physically broken, then why can't they remove the paralysis using magic? Magic isn't necessarily a... I'll say this. If you use magic as the whimsical solves everything, you're boring. We need conflict for a story to be interesting, to have a story have weight, to have it have meaning kind of thing. So just solving everything by using magic really makes it boring to me. Number three, why can't the mage cast a spell on themselves which allows them to float or fly so they don't have to worry about walking? Why can't they just use Mage Hand to push their wheelchair and then lift their chair up the stairs? What does it literally matter? Number four, why is there a normal-looking wheelchair in a medieval-esque high fantasy setting? Shouldn't the wheelchair be made out of crude dwarven technology or replaced with an animal with the saddle attached to it? Well, if you think about it, mages and wizards in these high fantasy settings are typically the most intelligent, or typically the more intelligent people out there, so they can come up with designs. And, well, they can make whatever they want, right? Magic is the cure-all. It's not too far out of the realm of possibility for me to think that somebody adept at using magic could conceive of something like this and then go to an artificer and be like, hey, can you do this? And then they'll be like, fuck yeah, I can. I'm an artificer. Once you have, or they continue, once you have magic in a setting, it makes no sense to have disabilities. The only way you could make this work is if you make the magic extremely rare and difficult to obtain, or make it so that magic is so dangerous and unreliable that it rarely gets used. No. It's if the magic is, if it make the magic extremely rare and difficult to obtain, not necessarily. Like, I can sort of see that one, but not necessarily. It really doesn't matter. It's fantasy. Personally, I find this drama to be silly. It's imagination. I know D&D has rules and lore and whatnot, but, like, that shouldn't exclude handicapped people in the world. Like, why can't I make a handicapped wizard who, like, to do drifts in his wheelchair. Yeah, like from what I've gathered, this boils down to I don't like seeing people with disabilities. Which, okay. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm already biased against this person like a lot because of a few things. You can see their @ sign is Confederacy, which if you know, you know, and I do not like it. They are also pro-fiction, pro-life. I don't know what Copperhead. I don't even want to click on what my ideology is. In other words, you would have to heavily tone down the fantasy in a high fantasy, which kind of defeats the purpose. A low magic fantasy setting can work, but it requires good writing to make it interesting. I would say everything requires good writing to make it interesting. If you're not interested in seeing stories about people with disabilities, you don't gotta see them. If you want to have fantasy Iron Man armor because it's fucking cool, you can. It's fantasy. You can do whatever you fucking want. And apparently this person just doesn't want to see any sort of wheelchair in the fantasy. It is Twitter, so I'm going to take a sec. I'm going to swap off before I scroll down. There was something that... Right. Let's take a reminder that there has never been people with disabilities in high fantasy settings before. It's never happened, has it? For real. They can do whatever. Like this fucking episode of Avatar. Anybody remember this one? It was actually really sweet. Fucking Aang finally finds people that also know how, or that also seem to be flying like he is. And it turns out one of the best ones couldn't use their legs. Honestly, this was a great episode. But it's too bad that disabled people or people with disabilities don't exist outside of the real world, huh? That is totally fair, Maxie. I am the type that is okay with getting controversial. But yeah, there's a lot of people just dunking on them. Pointing out those different types of characters. But I mean, there's also a lot of people that agree with that sentiment. Like that original meme post got 20,000 likes. This makes no sense to have people with disabilities in a fantasy setting got 30,000 likes. So it's disappointing. But hey, what can you do? Can't really stop people from thinking the stupid shit they believe, but oh well. Thanks for watching. Like it if you like it, dislike if you didn't. Let me know in the comments why you think I'm wrong. Check out the community on Discord. And remember, if you can't be the sharpest tool in the shed, you can always be the hoe. Just want to take a quick second and thank all the members who have joined my channel as one of my beeps. So, thank you Joestar, Maxi Kitty, JM, and Kudere Fanboy.